Welcome to Styled Clean, from toxins to truth, one thread at a time, where we press pause on fast fashion and pull back the curtain on what's really stitched into our clothes. This is the podcast where we go behind the seams, follow the threads to their source, and rediscover fashion as an act of environmental stewardship. Hosted by Kathleen Audet, stylist and image consultant. This show is for people who believe their clothing is more than fabric. It's a living story that touches your spirit, your body, your mind, and your values. Styled Clean is where fashion meets stewardship. If you're ready to cultivate a wardrobe that honors your values and an ethical closet, you're in the right place. Now, let's unravel today's episode.
Welcome, Jo Swinney, to the program. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Kathleen.
It is just delightful to be with you and to learn a little bit about Arusha. I've been reading about it, but you have such a story about it, and I'd really like to know about Arusha, and sort of how your place in it and how it was created, what it is, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, thank you. It is a story. So to begin with, for your listeners, I'll say Arusha is Portuguese for the rock. And it was started in 1983 in Portugal by my parents. It's now in 25 countries and we're growing all the time. And essentially, it's a Christian nature conservation organization that works in different ways depending on the location and the context, but long-term, place-based habitat and species conservation in God's name, because God loves all he's made. So it goes back to when I was 5 years old, and my dad absolutely loved bird watching, and he was an ordained minister. And in the 1980s, things were already starting to look a bit bleak for the planet in various ways. And he and my mum really felt sad that the church was right on the back foot, sometimes even opposed to any efforts to get involved in looking after the world because of what I would say is a flawed theology that it's going to be packaged up, burnt up, and completely replaced by God in the end. But that's not the Bible's narrative on it. And neither is it the way that we would treat our bodies, as in the parallel would be we're all going to die one day, but we still treat sickness and aim to live healthily and well in the minute. So they started a very innovative form of mission, which was an overtly Christian, hands-on project in the south of Portugal to protect a specific piece of wetland that was under threat from rampant tourist development. The Portuguese economy had just opened up to the rest of the world following a dictatorship, and the whole coastline was getting plastered in hotels and golf courses and marinas. And it's a very significant point on the bird migration route between North Africa and Europe. And they were having fewer and fewer places to safely stop off on their long journeys. So I'm delighted to say that little piece of Portugal remains as it was back then. It's still a great struggle to keep the developers off it, but it's pristine and in stark contrast to the rest of the coastline.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was my childhood was there. Then to fast forward, because Arusha was in some ways my third parent, I detached from it, rebelled a little bit, possibly against it, did my own thing. And as an adult, came back in following a really horrible event, which was a car accident in which I lost my mother. And that reintroduced me to the work of Arusha and a desire to put myself in a place of being able to take it forwards. And I just really wanted to be back connected. So long and short, here I am working for the organization in communications.
And what is your role now in the organization? And how did it grow from where it was when you came in after the accident and the horrors of that to where it is now?
So I'm coming up to 6 years. I've been director of communication for Arosha International that whole time. So we're a federated structure of independently funded and governed organizations who share a covenant, share a name and commitments, and have various responsibilities and connections with one another. So there's an Arosha USA, for example. So I'd really encourage any of your listeners in the States to check them out.
Mm-hmm.
But my role is in the coordinating, representing, equipping body in the middle of all of those. And I do a lot of work on the brand. We have a family of websites and social media, everything to do with how the organization tells its own story.
That's so important. And I'll be sure to link to the United States Arasha.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said 25 countries and you said federated, does that mean that each one is its own being, in other words? Or how do you describe that?
Yeah, so one of the really beautiful things about it is each Arosha organization springs up from the soil of its own location. So each of them has been started and is run by nationals who know and care about their own landscapes and seascapes. It's not a colonial model of planting something from outside.
Mm.
We're fairly reactive to opportunity, and where I am in the org, we'll steward them in, help them get started, talk to them about governance and what it means to be and be an expression of Arosha in that place.
Mm-hmm.
Most recently, we've welcomed an Arosha in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which has been in conflict.
Yes.
A very, very long time.
Very long time. Mm-hmm.
Some absolute heroes there who are doing amazing work in biodiversity conservation in among unbelievable stresses and threats. Yeah, so it's a beautiful thing to be. We use the language of family, which isn't perfect. It's not a perfect metaphor, but in some ways it does feel familial in how we share each other's burdens, and we have a common name and worship the same God and are trying to do the same thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you have a podcast. I want to be able to shout out to that because I've listened and it's delightful. It's different voices all over the world, and that's so cool. It's not just one person talking, it's all different people as a representation of what you do. I just thought that was neat.
Yeah, it's one of the favorite bits of my job, I think, is that in any given day, I'll be having conversations with people from 2 or 3 continents often. Yeah, Field Notes podcast is we just bring people on who are doing really hopeful, grounded work. They have really amazing stories. And I think it's very uplifting to hear, even in small ways, that good people are out there doing what they can faithfully, courageously. It's just a bit of light in what can feel a bit of a dark environment.
Right. Yeah, especially today. Yeah, that's so cool. Let me ask you this. I love this question. How does Arasha shift the way Christians think about creation care? How do you do that, and how do you